Any favorite journalists? We're going to wind up, so I just
Okay, fine. Yeah, a bunch of people. Harish Damodaran, who's a rural editor now. I don't know what his exact position is in the Indian Express, but he's at the Indian Express. He earlier used to be at the Hindu Business Line. He's a great writer. Somebody who talks about rural India the way it should be talked about, unlike a lot of other people who
You don't
talk
like
about.
Sainath?
I don't know who this person is that you're talking about, but
You've been very critical of Sainath. Okay.
all right. Other journalists, I think let's try and break it down. What in particular? Political journalists, I think that Aditi Fadnis, who writes for us, is great. I think Sheila Bhatt on Rediff gets a lot of interesting stories out, puts them there. On television, I'm afraid I don't think that there are that many interesting journalists.
How about
left.
anchors, debates where you think are interestingly conducted, where you get smart? I mean, do you see anyone who conducts debates where you leave enriched that, okay, there was value addition?
Karan Thapar. And I think there's a that's because Karan Thapar actually approaches debates differently from anybody else on television. He prepares in advance. He tells you that, I'm going to be going from question A to question B to question C. He makes sure that people prepares. There is a level of back office work that Karan Thapar brings. And you can, therefore, when you watch his half hour, you leave feeling enlightened. If you watch most of the other half hours, you do not. So there is a difference there. Yeah. In other terms, in other words, in print, Ravish is great. I think that's not perhaps because of preparation, but because of personality. And I think that he brings a perspective and a personality that's different from anybody else. And the way he asks questions, he can con people. In the Kiran Bedi example, he got it because it's just his tone. Right. He's a relaxed sort of. And if you ask me who I think is terrible, I'll give you an answer.
Yeah, tell me.
Arnav.
Okay.
And I know that everyone now, it is fashionable.
To trash him.
No, it is fashionable to now say he is trashed too much. And bust
the Manmohan Singh syndrome. Like,
whatever.
So what you think about Manmohan, that he's trashed too much? A lot of people think about Arnav, he's trashed too much.
I think Manmohan is trashed too much for things that he did not have the power to do.
But Arnav
has the power to be a better human being, and he chooses not to be.
As does Manmohan Singh. But anyway, okay. So you don't like Arnav at all. Yeah,
I'm sure he's a great guy.
Okay.
I think that he has had a pernicious influence on our public culture, on our diplomacy, on the way that people think in this country, on the way that people use the English language, on the way that people, on everything.
And last question, is your middle name really Simon?
My middle name is Swaroop, all right?
It's not Simon? Okay.
I would like to now address the television.
Okay.
My middle name is Swaroop. It has the middle name of all the men in my family for generations has been Swaroop. If you pick up this book, which I strongly urge you to do, show them the cover.
Okay,
all right?
That's the book.
If you pick up this book, you'll discover that my father's name is Prem Swaroop Sharma,
okay.
all right? His father's name was Dhyan Swaroop Sharma, and so on and so forth.
But come out, Simon was trending at some point.
And it's very interesting that it should happen, because essentially the question is, we cannot take you seriously, or we cannot understand how to think about the 850 words that you write unless we know what religion you were brought up in. And I find that amazing. All right, and definitely the world in which I grew up in, or maybe it was just the city I grew up in. I grew up in Calcutta, and I talk at length about the things that shaped me as a writer in my book, in my columns. It's sort of growing up in Calcutta, the things that I've read, being a rationalist of a particular kind, being an atheist of a particular kind. All these things are, what matter to me. With the colleges I went to, the economics training I had, the religion that my parents, had, and the one that I grew up in, is not something that should have influenced me, that has influenced me. Why the hell is it anyone's business?
Although I'm not saying that going after someone's religion is a good idea. I think it's terrible. But I won't go to the other extreme saying that's irrelevant. First of all, are you Christian? Does that matter?
I was brought up Christian.
Are you religious at all?
Not in the least.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what religion means. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to you.
No, because.
But you were brought up Christian, and you think that should not be an issue, that comes up when people read you.
I do not think that the religion that people were brought up in should be an issue in how you judge the work that they produce.
I agree with you.
And I think that this is a basic principle.
I completely agree with you. Although I've written a piece earlier, I got a lot of flack for it when Reza Aslan had trashed that anchor who asked what, because sometimes it does matter. Now, I'm not saying in your case it does, because you're writing about policy, you're critical about Modi. I've been stopped at the LA airport once. My brother-in-law is a Muslim, my sister's married to a Muslim. And no matter what I say that I know what it's like, and he's not just a Muslim, he's a flight instructor. So post 9/11, I was stopped at the LA airport. I was traveling with him. His flight instructor license came out, and we were there for 2.5 hours. I was ready to punch someone because I had never faced that kind of shit in my life. And he was calm because he faced it every day. He said, just chill out. Okay? Now, no matter how much I said I know what it's like, I didn't know what it was like till that time. So I think it does matter. Until you have faced it, you can't see the world from those eyes. And in Reza Aslan's case, when he wrote that book on Jesus, I think, what was it called? Yeah. And he was
the zealot.
Yeah. And the anchor did really, and she was being, and she was really stupid. But he went to the other extreme and saying it's irrelevant. In his case, it wasn't, because he's writing about religion.
Yeah.
You're writing about the economics, but so I agree as far as that is concerned. But to say that a writer's religion has no role to play, okay. So I'm saying, so he was writing about religion, and his past, he has converted from he converted to Christianity, and then he was one of those who would go around. Then he converted to Islam and back. I mean, there were these 2 or 3 conversions. So I think for a man writing on religion, that is relevant. That's all I'm saying.
But in this country, when we write about everything, we're supposed to be writing about religion, no? Isn't that the thing? I'm writing about if I say, as a I want a manufacturing revolution in this country, as does the Prime Minister. Now I say things like, as does the Prime Minister, basically, in order to get people off my back. So I want a manufacturing revolution in this country, all right? One of the things that I fear will hold it back is that हमारे जात भेद का बड़ा problem होता है. People don't want to work with their hands. Now, when I say that, all right, am I coming to it as a Christian who thinks that?
But that's a fact. But yeah, I agree, that's a fact. But what I'm saying is, so I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm disagreeing with the limited point that knowing a writer's religion is irrelevant across the board in anything he writes about. I don't agree with that. I think it's good to know. I mean, I can look at it like a completely bigoted person, because ye Christian hai, ye nahi likhta, ye Hindu hai. But I just think more information is always a good thing.
Shall I put it in a way that I think we both can agree with? A writer's personal history, to the extent that it influences what a particular thing that he's writing about, adds value to the reader's thing, and in some cases essential.
Right.
All right? But I do not think that in most cases the relevant part of a writer's personal history is his religion. Even when I am, let us say, criticizing Narendra Modi or people within the BJP or people within other parties for not being sufficiently secular, I am not coming to it from, nor do I think that people should assume or worry that I am coming to it as a person who was born into a religious minority. Because I put right there usually in front load the way that I am coming to it as an old-fashioned Enlightenment rationalist. All right, as somebody who thinks the French have the right idea. This is what I talk about when I write about secularism. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. And that's, I have anti-clericism, running through whatever my ideology. So why the hell, all right, therefore, does it matter what religion someone is, except if that is the defining part of his personal history. Now, anyone who therefore says, Abhinandan, ki ye jo Simon hai, you have to come out, you have to tell us these things. All right, that is the kind of person who thinks that beyond religion you are incapable of thinking. So all those people who were saying that, and let me put it to you, there were 3,700 or something within a few hours.
Really?
All right, all those people were too dumb to realize that there are other people in the world who can think beyond religion. Go home, watch something that is not a mythological serial, talk to secularists, read Dawkins, wake up, don't be a fool.
Although the biggest mythological serial that's made was History's Jesus, which was way bigger than everything else.
Which is Asianet one.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge.
No. Asianet has some awesomely funny, when I say awesome, I'm using this thing, awesomely funny saints' lives also, all right, which are indistinguishable from any other mythological series.
I think it got 11 million viewers in the first run. I don't know the figures, but it was huge. But sorry, just coming to that, and I agree with you, Mr. Swaroop. I completely agree. I just think, and I know it, I don't know what it's like to grow up as a minority in this country. I'm sure I can keep wanting to imagine what it's like, but I don't know what it's like. And I don't know what insecurities come with it. I don't know, the territory it occupies, and I can't put myself in anyone's shoes there. But I don't think there's any harm in a full disclosure, purely just like, whether it's a political affiliation, whether it is an, corporate affiliation. And I think it's terrible what Twitter does, and just the way, it's disgusting how they go after people, and I'm completely with you on that. But I won't go to the extent that saying that completely irrelevant. That was the only point I was making.
I have to disagree.
A full disclosure.
I do not think that this is something that you need to disclose. And furthermore, I'll say it, if you think that it is part, and not you particularly, but you in general, think that it is part of what a full disclosure implies, then I am dismayed about the kind of society that we are building. All right, I grew up, as I said, Christian. All right, everybody I grew up with knew this. People I went to college knew it. People I went to, everyone knows this. At no point has anyone assumed, and in the many thousands of arguments that I've had with people all my life, and as you know, I'm an argumentative person, that I'm coming to it from a Christian point of view. Now, if we have reached the kind of position where it is considered necessary for full disclosure, then this country is going backwards in a most shocking manner.
Fair enough. I will grant you that criticism of that point of view. But thank you so much. Great talking to you. And one point I want to make in the book, I think it's a typo. Indira Gandhi.
Oh, come on! All right.
It's not a typo.
Tell. What is it?
She nationalized the banks, not privatized them.
Have I said privatize the banks
Yeah,
at some point?
there's its page number. I'll just tell you because
This is like a Freudian slip because I'm dying for nationalized banks to be privatized right now, and Narendra Modi, because he's not a strong prime minister, is not doing it.
No, I'll just tell you what page it was on. Just
Don't
a second.
do this to me. I can go home, look at the damn Word file, Control F, privatize. You're just doing this on the air.
True. No, but I know you'd know because I was just not sure because I'm not an economist. So, the
whole damn chapter is about how she nationalized the bank. You know that it's that.
I know, but like it says, remember when Indira Gandhi privatized the banks, claiming that they lent too much to rich people and not enough to rural people. So when I read this, I said Indira Gandhi privatized banks, and I was like, fuck, I grew up thinking she nationalized them, and
this was unnecessary. This is unnecessary.
It's a typo, guys, but it's a great book. I highly recommend it. I'm not just plugging it because I'm a nice guy and I'm an agreeable person. But if books on economics intimidate you, this is a perfect place to start. Cleverly written, even though I don't agree with everything it says. But yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed that, click up here to support us and down here to subscribe. Be sure to check out our older episodes and the other stuff we do, like Can You Take It, I Agree, panel discussions, comics and animations, and much, much more.